Hi, and welcome to Studio Practice, Art and Ministry. I am so glad that you're here. My name is Jessie Nilo. I live in Boise, Idaho, and I've been an art minister for about 20 years now. And I love sharing my experience about art and ministry with people, especially the way that God moves through the arts to heal and to bridge divides and to really inhabit our praises with his presence through the arts. So welcome to this webinar. I'm really glad that you're here. Today we're studying 4 mini modules. The first module is called First Play, Then Technique. The second module today is about the elements of design. So we'll be dipping into that through the power of line. The third module today is all about our own creativity. It's called Creativity and Me. And then the last module really leaves room to ask God what our blocks are, what we're resisting, and also what God is inviting us into next. So I'm glad that you're here. The materials that we're going to be using today are something that can make a messy line, like a thick marker or a paintbrush, and something that can make a smooth line, like pencil or a thin marker or chalk. Anything that you want, actually. And any paper that you want to draw on, whether it's big or small. So this is the first module, First Play, Then Technique. What I really believe about this, and I cannot emphasize this enough, is that sometimes when people go overboard with technique and they're sort of like cramming it down your throat, whether it happened to you, or whether even maybe you're in a position in somebody else's life to where maybe you're a parent or a relative or a teacher, and you're always like, technique, practice the piano, or do something, in art. No, do it this way. No, use that color. In the enthusiasm that technique can bring with it, sometimes we can let the attention to detail or tradition overshadow the experience of the actual person who is making the art or the music. And so I want to just encourage you, as somebody who might have people in your life or around you that you represent or model the arts to them, please, as much as you can, exhibit the reality of freedom to people. Try not to hit people over the head with the whole, it has to be perfect, or you have to do it this way, or these are the colors, or like in the case of, like, say you're a painting teacher or something, if you're like, never use black, or these colors together equals mud, or something like that. Rather than coming down on it harshly, maybe soften your language and make it more descriptive in the terms of what the materials actually do, rather than describe it with an adjective that's negative, such as ugly or mud or things like that. So keep as objective as you can, and then you can talk about the actual attributes or the benefits of practicing scales if you're talking about, a musical instrument or something. And it doesn't mean not to have any kind of standards or not to challenge anybody. That's not what I mean. But when we emphasize technique over the top of play, it can be really detrimental to different people. And we can accidentally get in people's way of their own artistic development. So in Foundations of Art Ministry, we do study that. We talk about inclusivity in the arts, and we talk about joy and the art of play as artists. In fact, in the Foundations course, and this is our workbook for the Foundations course, my friend and fellow teacher, Justin Nielsen, talks about practice and some practical ways to invite people into the joy of play with art. Keep art and music supplies around your house for people of all ages to see and use. Provide cheap musical instruments and welcome poetry and dancing and music making. And don't judge or interrupt people's creative process, whether they're a beginner or an emerging artist or a very experienced artist. Don't judge or interrupt. what they're learning and what they're trying. Because art takes a lot of experimentation, right? And tell your family's musicians and actors and poets and artists, just pretend I'm not in the house. Let people know that you're not going to evaluate what they create. In fact, invite people to make a lot of mistakes and repetition. That's how we learn. And then really don't correct or make a big deal or interfere. As far as you go, let your own family know that you will be taking risks and making a lot of art or music from here on out. And communicate that you expect no insults and no jokes. And then in your own process of discovery, pay attention to what you're drawn to and what you're fascinated by. And immerse yourself in creating without condemning what you make. Speak encouragement to yourself inwardly. That is a very important part of being an artist. And make a lot of stuff. All right, so in today's webinar, we're concentrating on the concept of line in art and ministry. And I'm just going to go back and review what the materials are here. Something that can make a messy line and a smooth line, plus any paper that you might have around you. And so we are going to play through mark making. I hadn't really heard of mark making very much until I met my friend Amy, who is the co-founder of God Loves Art. Amy, what do you want to tell people about mark making that they might not understand?
I think, it really displays individual voice, I think, differently than other things.
Mm.
And anyone, any age, it's very inclusive, and it can be any materials. And it's not something to overthink.
Mm.
And so for me, often it is how I start things so that I don't overthink.
That's really good. So it's kind of a kinetic little like a response, would you say, that is based on curiosity or freedom or
Curiosity, whether it's about the item you're holding or whether it's a movement you feel in your body, especially people who are more like dance oriented or things like that. Like if you
okay.
have music on, sometimes you can, the feeling, um, maybe it's, you can convey emotion very quickly with mark making.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. As you're creating something on the paper, it is going to be imbued with some type of emotion in the process of making that pulling motion, whether it's delicate, smooth, rough,
Mhm.
expressive, kinetic. Yeah, that's really good. All right. I'm going to go to the next slide and we're going to create one imperfect mark. I think for me, I can demonstrate on this on my own. And so I'm going to use my document camera, which is a fun little hello. So you can use, like I said, any size of paper that you would like to. You can put down a larger sheet of paper if you would like. And eventually, what you could do is even have a little series of small pieces of paper, such as these, to do some work on today. Feel free to cut these up or tear them up. You can work on paper that has a torn edge that already kind of creates a line to it. But I think first and foremost, let's see what our one imperfect mark here can be and can do. This is the messy one. So we're going to start actually with our um, large messy making mark. So if you want to go ahead and just start scribbling and see like, well, what does this marker do? And what does a maybe you have an old spatula that you could use. And you can, if you're using paint, you can pour some paint for yourself. I just put a little dab of paint in my palette and I'm going to scoop it up here with my little old palette, old spatula. And there's a messy mark that could make. It's kind of fun. I can scrape that and let it be all unpredictable. So that's kind of fun. There's another kind of mark. So we're not being literal about the one messy mark right now. We're just seeing what it can do. So, which I encourage all of you to do with your messy mark making material. And it doesn't have to be a black or gray line. You could even make a mark with a tube of paint. You can squeeze it like it's a pen and drag it across. That's kind of a delightful, messy looking mark right there. Kind of unpredictable how it comes out of the tube. So when we say messy, we're not insulting our mark making at all. I'm kind of just contrasting the word messy with something neat, something contained, something very smooth. These are not bad or good descriptors. These are more unpredictable, exuberant, and less controlled than a neat, smooth line would be. So I'm going to put another piece of paper down for myself and make literally one messy line, and you can do the same on yours. You can have a tester piece of paper, and you can also have a different piece of paper. There's my delightfully messy line. So go ahead and make one messy line. A line doesn't have to be straight or curved. It could be either one. You can use soft pressure or strong pressure. Again, if you're still like testing your different materials, if you have a piece of charcoal or something, you could turn your charcoal sideways and kind of see how that works or if that works. Transformation often starts with one imperfect mark, and it can be rather liberating. So with your other, your smooth mark making device, let's go ahead and test that and see what can make a smooth line. It doesn't mean that it has to be smooth. You can take your smooth instrument and make a very wiggly line like this instead. You can make a broken line, which is sort of gaps between. So I'm just kind of turning this paper into another test paper. Often I don't overthink. Is this a test paper or is this a real thing, a real piece of art? It's all art. Sometimes the most beautiful creations are on a palette or a test piece of paper, aren't they? So I like that contrast between these lines, between the smooth and the rough. Even a ballpoint pen actually can make a pretty awesome looking line. So yeah, see what kind of lines it can make if you turn it sideways, if you have soft pressure, strong pressure, short lines, long lines, and if, of course, straight lines versus curved lines are another thing that you can test. Good job. And you can also test your devices and go, well, this one is totally out of ink and I'm going to throw it away. Or it needs to be, like coaxed back to life. So that's always kind of good to know too. I really like knowing that. This is a very dark pencil for a pencil. I'm kind of responding to the lines now by drawing in between them. I've kind of overlapped some things, and now I can just kind of fill some in with some straight lines or curved lines or scribbles. A scribble's a line. This module that we're doing right now is inspired by a lesson on freedom and vulnerability that we teach in lesson 4 of Foundations of Art Ministry, called Creativity and Me. And this is a good warm-up exercise that you can do anytime to drop the pressure and reconnect with God through joyful, free expression. And the difference is in the Foundations course, we really go back to the beginning of your own creativity and what God thinks about that. Because what God thinks about your creativity is pretty important. All right, I think I'm ready to make my one line, one messy, and then my one smooth line in one composition. I remember one time I was about ready to walk a labyrinth and I had all sorts of self-made pressure on top of me, like, oh, what if I don't, get anything out of it? And God was like, well, then walk it again. No big deal. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I don't have just one shot at this. So I figured this. I'm gonna make my messy line with this kitchen spatula that I turned into an art studio instrument. I'm gonna make it like this. I'm just gonna make my messy line. And then I'm going to make my smooth line with my instrument of choice, which I think today is this pink marker. And I'm going to kind of respond to it. If I don't like it, I can grab another piece of paper. Because it's not about pressure at all. That's more than one line, but I like it. So just do this kind of in a connective way with God right now. And God, I ask for you to speak to my friends as they're creating with line. I ask that you would really be here for us in this moment with these materials. Thank you for creating all things and open our eyes to wonder, the wonder of who you are, Lord. And you can say your own prayers you're creating if you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, and you can keep on making your marks. You can use as many or few pieces of paper as you'd like to. You can make very small pieces of paper with many designs across it, or just one piece of paper. Totally up to you. All right, so you have made one imperfect mark or more and one smooth line or more, and now you've combined them on one piece of paper or more. Good job. All right, next we're going to just look at the truth that play is not a waste. You can feel free to keep creating even as we go through even the rest of this webinar as much as you want to. I like to say we can move about the cabin. So you can stand up, you can go get another art supply that you forgot to get or that occurred to you right now to go get. You can always do that. Play is not a waste. It's actually part of spiritual formation if you were born as a very creative person, which more than 95% of humanity is actually very creative. It's one of those things that has been studied time and time again. We are all born creative. Most of us are born very, very creative, highly creative, it's called. And we just, as we grow, as we experience society, as we age, the tendency is to stop practicing our creativity and to lose that. And so we are, part of the reason that we do what we do is to, actually be able to see the creativity that is in us and use it, and don't feel afraid to use it. So right now, our second mini module is the elements of design and to see with new eyes. And part of that process is what we teach in the Foundations course is the 6 elements of design. Elements just meaning ingredients, things we can use in art, things we can observe in nature and in the spaces around us, in architecture, in people-made materials and things. These also have a lot of application in poetry and music and writing and other forms of art as well, not just visual. So in visual art, the 6 elements that we talk about are line and value and color and shape and space and texture. So we actually study those in the Foundations course. A little thing to remember that by, if you're interested, is lovely velvet cupcakes sound so tasty. That just takes the first letter of each word so that you can remember what all 6 elements are. Today we're only talking about line, which is the lovely part of that little phrase to remember things by. And so again, we were just making lines. We were making messy lines and smooth lines. A line is simply a continuous mark or path that plays across a surface. Line can establish an edge of an object, or it can describe contours, it can suggest movement, or it can divide a visual space, kind of like what you were just doing on your piece of paper. So here are some examples of line. See those scribbles right there? There's different colors that line can be in. There are that little figure right there is made up entirely of lines. Even its mouth is a curved little line right there. And then we've got some expressive textured lines underneath the little cartoon. So you can make so many things with just simple line. It's pretty cool. Here are some examples by some different artists, contemporary artists. And this on the left is Snooze, a graffiti artist who has created, and you can see those lines actually make up lettering and words, right? And you can actually see that there are both thick and thin lines in that work. And you can see the markers and the colorful instruments that they used for that drawing. Richard Serra has some very thick, bold, expressive lines on the right side there. And these are large-scale pieces that are displayed in galleries. Isn't that one that we just saw some of the work by Richard Serra the other day, Amy?
We did see some of his at the Boise Art Museum, yes.
Yeah, it was amazing. And these pieces have such presence when you walk up to them. They're very captivating. And so if you're in the Idaho Boise area, you can actually check out the work yourself through January 2026 is still there. And here we have Reinhard Gorner,
Yes.
a photograph of, these are just different ways of conveying line. That's actually how we study this in the foundations course, is through photography. You can look around you and see all the variations of different lines that there are right where you're sitting. Vince Lowe has a beautiful drawing here too, very expressive, just such motion in the line. And you can see the fluidity of the line, especially on the sleeve, and how that contrasts with the lines of the face and the lines of the trumpet, and the lines of the text even. You see a lack of perfectionistic tendencies with the free writing that he has there coming out of the trumpet. The lines are not completely straight. There is such value in journaling and doodling to not strive for perfection, which can really undercut and actually ruin a piece of art, depending on what your purpose is. Again, just always have a mind to that type of freedom and take it every chance that you get. Charles Reed is one of my favorite watercolor artists, but he also is a great contour line artist. You can see that figure right there on the left with that beautiful contour line drawing. So expressive. Look at the shape inside that ear. It just sort of looks like half of an ampersand. It's just kind of cut off and left that way. Isn't that fascinating? And a lot of it isn't filled in. Like the collar starts and then just kind of stops right there. Oftentimes a contour line drawing like that is done with one continuous line. And you can see a lot of the connecting points on the hat and in the beard, and that kind of roll around and go upward to the eyes. It's very freeing to do that. If you're interested in contour line drawing, the whole entryway into that type of drawing is to not look at your piece of paper. I know it's counterintuitive, but if you look at say you're looking at a photograph of a person for your model for this, you just stare at the photograph and you kind of let your dominant hand wander around slowly on your piece of paper without looking at what your pen is doing. And you're just staring at the photo or the person in real space the whole time. That's what gives it that freedom. And you slowly trace around all the contours that you notice on the person or object. All right, and then we have Paul Klee over here with this beautiful, expressive, bold line again. Wayne Thiebaud has made a line of cupcakes. Now, in real life, these cupcakes are not connected. There is real space between each cupcake. But however, we look at it and we see a continuous line because our brain wants to complete things. Our brain wants to bring all those things together, those different pieces, to make the whole. And so when we see a line of thumbtacks or a line of Skittles, our brain connects that line. You can literally make a line out of separate objects, kind of like a fence post effect. You see the fence post does make a long line, even if they're not very connected. And then we have another photograph by Bernice Abbott of those buildings making really powerful lines. Do you see that plain white line that cuts diagonally through that whole composition, like lightning almost? It's the sky between the buildings. That white line makes a powerful line of negative space. Not to mention all the lines of windows and the stripes everywhere. So line can be amazing. So let's take on a scrap piece of paper, look around your own space and write down whatever lines you see. Now, I know literally you're going to see, now that you're looking for line, you're going to see hundreds of lines. Don't get overwhelmed, all right? Just kind of go, see these lines? Like, I'm going to stop my screen share for a second. There's some lines in back of me right here. There's like on these curtains. Those are lines. They're kind of playful and they sort of lean in different directions a little bit. There's also lines that are more intricate right here in my siding on the cedar walls that I have in what used to be my family room. This is now my art studio. There's lines that are created right here by these little dresser, these little drawers over here, lines of different color. There's lines on that bar stool legs right there. Those are lines. So see what kinds of lines exist in your space and write some down. Just write down maybe 5 types of lines that you see. Not hundreds, maybe 5. And then we're going to do a little bit of a response to those lines in a second, but I'm going to give you a chance to look around. Oh, there's library books behind me too, right there. Those make a lot of lines. They could be colorful lines. They could be grayscale lines, a black line, a white line. It could be any color. They're all lines. So write those down. Maybe a list of 5 or something. And then once you've written those down, what we're going to do next is we're going to play with that. We're going to translate your discoveries. And so what we're going to do is grab yet another piece of paper. It can be tiny. It doesn't have to be a big piece of paper, but some type of piece of paper for yourself. And what you're going to do is those things that you wrote down on your list, you're going to translate those to something that you can play with right now. So if this is my piece of paper here and I was using my fuchsia colored pen, if I am noticing the spiral line on a notebook that is just right in front of me on my desk right there, I'll start to respond to that and I will play with a spiral the way I see it, but it doesn't have to be realistic. You can see that that is not. So I'm going to play with it this way. Another way I could make that same spiral is like this. And that's if I'm basing it on the notebook that I wrote down, the spiral notebook. That's one long curvy line. Another line that I see on my books is actually a design that is on one of the books. And I'm going to pretend those spirals aren't even there. I'm just going to go over them because now I'm looking at a different line on a different book. It has designs on it that look very similar to this, what I'm doing. I'm just looking at that and responding to it. Nobody's going to see the original thing that I wrote down. The spiral notebook, the book with lines. They're not going to see that. They're only going to see this, if I even show it to anybody. Now I can look at this and go, ooh, it kind of looks like doves, or that kind of looks like a reflection in water. And that's fine. It doesn't have to look like anything though. It can just be what it is, which is a line. Maybe I even want to respond to that and start coloring part of that in just for fun. I can do that too. It doesn't have to look like anything. So you can go ahead and do that too. Those things that you wrote down, pick one of them or two of them and respond by making your own line, not realistically or anything, just sort of as a response to what you wrote down. One important thing to know is that when you're using a medium like this, let the medium be the medium that you're playing with. This is not a photograph. This right here is a piece of paper with some lines on it. I don't want to make it into something that has to look photographic. And you shouldn't have that pressure either with your drawing. And I think it's interesting that the word draw comes from to pull. You see how I'm pulling the pen across the surface? I'm pulling it. To draw means to pull. That's all. Everybody can draw. I'm pulling something across a surface like a horse-drawn wagon or drawing water from a well. Just means to pull. It can be representational if you prefer. If you saw a plant in front of you and you're drawing the plant representationally, that's totally fine too. But it doesn't have to be. The line can stand on its own without representing an object. So while you're doing that, I'm going to share my screen and just kind of sing the praises of the benefits of the line, the humble line. It is amazing what, in fact, I was going to show you my shirt. I wore this shirt on purpose today. So I drew this in my sketchbook. It's a pair of hands creating a pot on a wheel, like a potter's wheel. So I drew that, and then I liked it so much, it was in my journal, that we had a t-shirt made out of it. So that's just one line. It's like amazing what lines can do. And of course, the shaded in areas are areas of dark value around it. So the benefits of line, let me share that with you. That was fun to make. Lines reveal structure and meaning. They can provide us a framework for an idea, and they can strengthen the composition or narrative. And you can keep drawing as I'm reading these. Number 2, lines guide focus and movement. Whether it's in a drawing, poem, photograph, music, lines can give rhythm and direct the eye or ear. Seeing how lines flow, bend, or break can help creators shape attention and emotional pacing for whatever it is that you're wanting to create. Number 3, lines carry mood and character, and Amy was talking about this earlier. Lines actually have personality, because you can make a trembling line, a gentle line, a bold line, a curved line, broken line, squiggly line, a fun line. I mean, you look at it and you go, that line is fun. It just is. Artists who notice that those nuances are there can express thoughts and feelings visually. So that's kind of a cool benefit to seeing line. Number 4, lines can connect and unify details. You can repeat lines, you can connect things on your drawing, even the drawing you're working on right now. If you're like, oh, I can connect this with that. Line has the power to connect scattered material into one unified expression. If you think about something that has a lot of cross-hatching details on it, you'll know what I mean. It's like, oh yeah, that artist spent a lot of time shading and contouring, like the little broken lines or the little striped lines across somebody's hand or face, or the towel that's lying across the floor. And they've done a lot of cross-hatching. That's all unification through line. So that's really cool. I really enjoy looking at the benefits of the different elements of designs, just so I could appreciate it for what it is even better. Because after all, God is the originator of all things, including the humble line. It's his idea. Awesome. So our next module here, our last one, or not last one, our module 3 here is about your creativity. Creativity in me, seeing yourself as God sees you, and the creativity that, God put into you. And I want you to know that your creativity is already good, because God created it, and we're made after our Creator. We have the Lord's DNA, and we're made in his image, right? So God is like the most creative being of all time, the most creative person ever. And the fact that God made you means you have creativity. And it is already good. And so if you have any obstacles of creativity, against your creativity, like that try to stop you, you can type those into the chat. I'm going to tell my story right now, and you can keep on, if you're okay, comfortable sharing what some of those obstacles are in your life. I'm going to tell you a story about my creativity and how it was stymied, and it'll be a short story, but I just want you to know that a lot of the time we tend to look at somebody and go, oh, well, they make stuff all the time. They're just fine. They don't have any kind of roadblocks at all. They've always been creative, I'm sure. Well, I wasn't. God created the creativity inside of me, yeah, but then it was blocked for decades because I had an 8th grade teacher, an art teacher, which makes it worse, who criticized my creativity and told me that I wasn't creative. And so that really stopped me. It was a big roadblock for me. And like I said before, feel free to keep doodling even as I'm talking. That's totally fine. I'm a kinetic scribbler myself. I kind of need to keep doing stuff as I'm studying or listening. I'm going to show you a piece of art that I made. So I'm going to grab this right over here. This piece of art is called Creativity and Me, and it is this big, and I've got it framed. It's made of pastel. My alternate title for this is The Ascension of Me, because as you can see, this little redheaded girl is climbing a tree, and like, it's about ascension. It's about going upward into whatever God has for me personally. And I made this as a response to, for the first time, discovering that, oh, I am creative. The people that have spoken things against me, not only my 8th grade art teacher, but others as well, including my dad and things like people like that, who were just not understanding of how I was wired or how important it was to me. If they would criticize it or say that it was, creativity is unpredictable and messy and bad and, too emotional, which was like code for, unreliable or, not good in some way, according to that person. So if that ever happened to you, write it in the chat if you're comfortable. And you don't have to divulge details or anything, but I just kind of wanted to get sort of a, there's a lot of creative blocks out there, like the thought or belief, I can't do it, or I don't measure up, like the comparison trap, or other things like that. So if that's you, type that into the chat, because it would be really good to, yeah, Lori says that totally happened to her for decades also. Yeah, that's a really miserable feeling, to be like, oh, I guess I'm not creative. I guess I can't, I can't create. So here is, I'm going to go ahead and show this real fast in the preview. That is the drawing that I took a picture of earlier. And like I said, it's with pastel, soft pastel. These are new pastels that I used. I chose not to smudge or blend. You can see the plethora of line work throughout this piece. And I'll go to this other piece. Actually, I'll just zoom in here. A lot of detail and a lot of line work. I was actually at a retreat. If you ever can get away to an art retreat, I highly recommend it for the creativity in you. This was just a simple prompt to go outside in nature and open our hearts to the Lord and see if he showed us anything. I wasn't expecting anything. And God just showed me, like, I made the creativity that is inside of you. I'm going to bless it. And it's not messy and it's not bad, but it is expansive and it never ends, because I never end. And, this is God saying this to me. And so I didn't make the branch size diminish on this tree, but there's just so much more. And I actually indicated a heart shape up here with the branches in the upper limbs. It just really meant so much to me that God would do this and show me his heart for the creativity that is, yes, unpredictable. That is true. But God's flow is throughout the creativity that he has put inside of me. And so this was a pretty big revelation for me. So I just share that to let you know that if that happened to you, you're not alone. Jen said, absolutely, and my inner critic grabs and throws them back at me regularly. Deborah said, it's comments like, you're not an artist, it's just a hobby. Yeah, that's right. Amy said, yes, it was treated as something frivolous, not necessary. So the struggle with guilt was intense. Yeah, that's right. Thanks for that compliment, Deborah. It makes me smile. Yes. And then Amy says the other thing that it was, about it being used, creativity being used, utilitarian, basically. It has to be useful. So yeah, thank you for your affirmation and like opening up and sharing a piece of art that is so personal. It is a personal thing. Like, it makes me want to cry. But yeah, that's how powerful art is. It just is. And God uses it powerfully. Wow, I didn't expect to get teary about that. God healed me tremendously through that piece of art, through the revelation through nature, and through the lines on that tree, the actual tree branch lines, and also the lines within on the bark. I'm still just receiving so many benefits from that exercise that I did back in 2012. And then I created this piece as a response. Weeks later, art is the gift that keeps on giving, you guys. It really is. And I don't normally work in pastel. That's another interesting thing. I'm usually painting. I'm usually doing acrylics or oils. But that pastel, it was unique. It was site specific. That's another thing we teach in the course. God is site specific, and he will guide us through whatever we need for our healing. Because man, God leaves the 99 and he just like looks for the one. He will not leave you in the lurch. He will come after you every time. And God is hope. So yeah, thank you for that. And Patty said, I love the fact that your piece has the branches moving forward and you're crawling and moving in that direction. So cool. Thank you so much, Patty. Yeah, I love that too. Like, I want what God has for me. I don't want to sit at the base of the tree or walk away from it even. Like, if God has more for me, I'm going to that's why I named it that alternate title, The Ascension of Me, because I really, really want healing in my life, and I want fullness and wholeness, and to not take creativity and set that aside as, well, that's just a different area of my life, and there's nothing really that God's going to do with that. No, he's going to incorporate that and actually bless everything about me through everything that God does with me, which includes art, because I'm an artist. So God has creativity planted in you as well for connection and healing and growth and hope. So I just want to let you know that if there's nothing else that you get out of today, I just really need you to know that for sure. God is amazing. And there's nothing that you need to earn before you create with God. Please don't believe that lie either, because a lot of the time, it's just like Sabbath isn't something that we earn. It's something we get to enjoy with God, regardless of the to-do lists, regardless of anything going on around us. It's nothing we earn, you guys. The grace of Jesus is nothing that we earn either. It's just there for us to receive. And so creativity is part of that. It's part of life. It is part of who you are. Don't ever think, oh, I don't deserve to. Oh, I didn't really finish this or that thing, so I can't. Do it. Just do it. Otherwise, it's like a stopper on a bottle, and you're going to be really stuck and miserable. So make the time, even if it's just a few minutes for a simple line that you draw. Make the time for that. It doesn't take very long, as you can see. All right. And so now I would like to actually listen to God in the process of what he's got for us. I think this part is very important too. So we're going to just put all of this before God in prayer and see what he has for us. Let's ask God if there is anything that we're resisting. I'm just going to lead us in a very simple prayer. Lord, please break through. And I'm praying this for me too. If there's anything in me that is not believing you, not believing your promises, fighting against the way that you made me, or whatever it is, God, I want you to show that to me right now. I pray the same for my friends. Help us to know the truth. And once we know the truth, to accept the truth and not be always going back and forth and vacillating and being double-minded about this stuff. We just want to be done with that so that we can put all of our energy into rest and play and creation with you. We only want what you want. And we want to do what we see you doing. Yeah. So you can write that down if God showed you anything. I know God appreciates it when we finally just agree with him instead of being like, okay, God, that's probably too good to be true. Or, like, well, I know you say this, but I'm going to keep acting this other way. Or I'm going to allow my brain to still keep on globbing onto these old thoughts of what I used to think, because that's comfortable and familiar, and then we've got this tennis match constantly going on. I believe God. I don't believe God. I believe God. I don't believe God. Let's be done with that, you guys. Let's just be done. Yeah, write that down for yourself. And if you have any questions, write them into the chat as well. You don't need to be an expert to grab a hold of your own creativity. Jesus said to be as a child in the area of faith, which means just be who you are. You don't have to be timid. All those people that have told you otherwise, you can choose to not listen to that anymore. You could be like, no, I'm just going to embrace the way that God made me. I'm going to be creative and I'm going to play like a child. I'm going to ask God for the things that he's stirring in my heart, and I'm not going to feel bad about it anymore. I'm just not. So be like that childlike kiddo, that's for all of us. Doesn't matter how old you are. And so you don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be trained. Here is like a really cool thing that we did in the we took some art projects into the men's prison yesterday. Amy and I did, and we led an exercise on creating their own secondary colors. And so you can see, like, look at the line quality of each one of these responses by two of the different residents there that we were teaching yesterday. Different line quality, right? And I give them so much freedom when we're in the class. I give them like a starting point, like it wasn't a drawing class, it was painting. So I gave them a little template in which they could trace, but then it was painting and color. And so I really let them play. And I say, experiment with your brush marks and things like that. And you can make these any color that you want. And, you can turn these into new things that you imagine and things. They love it so much. But, like, these are not things that are scary in, as far as you have to be an expert to bring this simple, like, here's a colored pencil piece. This guy got to look at a photo reference of a penguin and create it. All we did, Amy and I did, is give this person some charcoal and colored pencil and a photo reference, and they just go to town, and if they need help, we'll give them a little guidance, but it's not like the entry point for helping other people through art. And this is where the word ministry comes in, art. The entry point for what you need to be equipped with is pretty low. It's not like you have to have like you have to know how to do every type of art out there in order to bring somebody some colored pencils and let them have a couple of hours of peace doing some kind of processing through art that will benefit them. So that's where the art ministry comes in. Also, ministry is just what we were doing a second ago with the making a line. art ministers to us. God made it that way. Like doing art or looking at art, like if that tree piece that I made spoke to you at all or made you feel anything that was remotely hopeful or positive, that's art ministering to you. I had a painting I was working on that I brought down to my studio one time, and I was just going to throw some varnish over the top of it. It was something I had made 5 years ago. And I had 2 friends walk in that day who were stunned by the painting. They stood there and looked at it. Their jaw dropped open. I didn't bring it down for it to do that to either one of my friends. I was just going to varnish it. But God had other plans, and he knew exactly what both of those friends needed to see on that day, and he arranged it. And I got to see my art from a painting I had done 5 years earlier minister to my 2 friends. Not expected, but it just unfolds over time if you are allowing the Holy Spirit to move in you for all of those very site-specific encounters and revelations and opportunities to play, to learn, to grow, to hope, and to get closer to God. So that's kind of what I mean by art ministry. And I wanted to just kind of like let you know that, because today's studio practice does have, you know, the name art ministry in it. So I wanted to explain what I meant by that. And art ministry is not like an assembly line. It's not something that we all, that, you know, looks the same. Neither art nor ministry should ever feel like an assembly line anyway. And so I think that it can vary over time. It can vary over the different seasons. And in our workbook for foundations, that's what this is. This is a workbook that's included with the course. It has a lot of things in here about what things that art can do, like inspire and teach and equip and encourage and help people pray and prophesy and lead worship. And it can exhort, and it can expose injustice. It can bring healing. It can illuminate truth. I mean, and it can serve practical needs too, you know? And so we have this really cool chart that is all about the types of ministering that is absolutely possible. And not that we're all going to do every one of these things. No, it's about what God leads you in specifically. But I just wanted to let you guys know what I mean. It can be a journaling class. It could be bringing very simple art projects into an assisted living home or a prison. It can be touching base with the artists in your own, you know, the other Christian artists around you, whether it's in a coffee shop or a church. I mean, there are so many ways to be equipped yourself and grow yourself as an art minister. I have not learned anywhere near as much in college. And I went to college for art. I have 2 degrees in art. I have not learned anywhere near as much there as I have in art ministry. Just with the people around me and inviting people into the process, not knowing what God was going to be even doing, but just having that open invitation with the Holy Spirit. Like, is there anyone around me that we could just get to know each other and talk about God and art in the same sentence, Lord? Turns out, yeah, the answer was yeah. And so I've learned more from that by far than I ever did studying art in college. In fact, I had to unlearn some stuff that I learned in college when it came to art. That's what one of our students says, who is a graduate of our Foundations Art Ministry course. She said, having been an art educator most of my life, there is actually much to be unlearned. And she said, and now that I've taken Foundations, I get to have fun doing it. She gets to have fun unlearning all the stuff that education has supposedly taught her. Now, one of my other graduates said, it was so awesome to learn that I'm not the only one to have fears when it came to putting myself out there with my art. And another graduate, Amy, not Amy Way, another Amy, said, as a musician, I love that this course has been so well incorporated into our studies with all the different types of art. It's made me delve deep, find personal healing and realized the why behind many of my eccentricities and traits. And it has given me both the knowledge and the zeal to push forward and onward into the art ministries God has for me. So I wanted to ask Amy Way if you would like to share what your personal experience was of the Foundations of Art Ministry course.
Sure.
Cool. I will
I'll
spot. Yeah.
try and keep it short because
Sure.
it's a long story. When I took foundations in 2022, and I was not interested in ministry. I had 3 kids, 8 to 13, just come through a family health crisis. It was not a good time to feel like I could spend the money or sit and take the time for myself. At the same time, I actually I had asked my husband what he thought because I really wanted a way out. Because I think I was sensing that I was supposed to kind of just sign up, like maybe leading that direction. And I was like, and so I asked him for a way out, and he goes, "No, I think you should do it." And I was like, when I first started Foundations, I did not associate art and play at all. I had not heard that at all. Ministry was redefined for me in the process of the going through the workbook and doing my own art. Ended up processing things that were really course altering for me, and to the point where I had some medical things going on, and to where now 3 years later, blood work has changed. Some things have normalized doing art, and really coming to peace and not being so skeptical of ministry, especially where art and ministry met, and really even restoration back to being able to go back into a church or things like that. Like I said, I could talk for a very long time about the benefits in my life, or you could ask my oldest child, who even just last night said, "You've changed so much in the last few years." If I had to sum it up, really transformative would be the word I would use.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing all of that. We're really, really interested in the transformation that God has for each one of us. I mean, that is to be renewed in our mind, like Jesus says that we are, and to exchange our heart of stone for a heart of flesh. All of these things. And if you think about the ways to interpret those things and express and explore those things through art, I mean, that's exciting. Like, talk about surrendering to God. Like, ooh, how can I dive deep into that concept through the medium or mediums that I already know how to use besides words, So that's another really big benefit of art itself. And the Foundations course, which a lot of you have already graduated from, and the continuing community that we have afterwards, absolutely helps fortify our thoughts and our actions. And to stay in community, it does give us the confidence and the direction that each person really benefits from in growing with Christ. Even as we do separate things and have different expressions of what art ministry can possibly look like, because it's all over the place, really. Wide scope of possibilities in art ministry, but to have the conversation with each other, oh my goodness. I mean, that ministers to my soul too, just like hearing what everybody's involved with, what your thoughts are, what your heart is, and also just the act of being transformed by God. We get to see that. All of us do. It's just amazing. So I love the encouragement and the community, and I just want to thank you all for being part of that. And if you are listening to this recording later and you are like, okay, well, I think I'm more of an artist and I'm not really interested in the ministry part of it, just know that that's absolutely fine, and that God will continue to minister to you directly through your art. and just keep on opening those doors to God and his thoughts and his heart for you, and to keep on transforming your heart and your mind in the process. It is a very exciting journey to be on. And if you are interested in taking the Foundations Art Ministry course, I would love to have you in the course. I get so excited about it. And, of course, we have a money back guarantee. And in fact, any one of our graduates who have taken the course before, if you wanted to repeat the course for free, you can do that. Just email me, because I know I put that out there when I started the course, and I would love to equip you in that if you wanted to do that, if you're interested in doing that. And we have the new workbook and everything right now too. So one graduate said, I can definitely relate better with the other artists around me now because of the healing that I have experienced myself through the Foundations course. And now that I know my identity, that I'm an artist and have permission to create, I'm really free to enjoy it. And at the same time, the understanding that there is a calling is big motivation for me. That's what one of our students named Lisa says. So yeah, if that's you, please pray about it. See if this is the right season for you to take Foundations. We only teach it once a year. So every January we begin a new cohort, lasts till about mid-March. So I would love to have you in the course if that is you. And workbook is included in the price. It's $497, including the workbook, money back guarantee, and it's just life altering. It really is. And God just keeps on giving us more and more gifts in the wake of even taking the course, because it really doesn't end after 9 weeks. The course does end, but we are in community, and we get to keep on just being here for each other and keeping each other in our prayers, and seeing the art that everybody's uploading is really fun inside of Emerge and everything. So I think I'm going to say one more prayer for us, and that is a prayer of let me share this here. We talked about what we're resisting right now, and now we're going to just end with whatever God is inviting us into, to be able to reflect and contemplate. Again, this isn't necessarily Foundations that God is inviting you into. If God is inviting you into it, I would love it. And if it is something different, then God is going to reveal all of that to you. He really will. So trust the Lord. So let's pray just briefly pray, and you can write down anything that you sense from the Lord, or you can just meditate. Thank you, Lord, for inviting us closer to you constantly, no matter what is going on in our lives. You are wanting to draw our attention to you, because you are always with us, Lord. And thank you for that. Thank you for never leaving us. Thank you for being the best parent and friend ever. You do not let us down. You do not abandon us. And you delight in the things that we make. That just by itself ministers to my soul. Thank you for that. It's not about perfection. It is about process with you. Now teach us all how to play, how to pray, and how to enjoy the act of creating that you've made accessible to us and that you really like. And bless my friends and the things that they put their hands to, Lord. Thank you for all things. Thank you for who you are. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, I thank you for joining us here for this webinar today. I really, really appreciate you being here. We still have seats open as of right now. It's December 6th right now. And we are limiting it to 50 seats, and there are already several students enrolled. So if that's you, if you want to take the course, go ahead and sign yourself up, because enrollment ends December 15th. And so then we won't take enrollments for another year or something. So Yeah, we will next take enrollments in December of 2026. If you're watching this video and it's already past enrollment time, that's okay. Just get on our wait list and I will let you know as soon as we open enrollment again, because we do only teach it once a year. So it'd be an honor to have you join the course. I love getting to know everybody, and I love seeing the things that you create with the Lord. So thank you so much for everybody for joining us for this webinar. I appreciate you all, and God bless your creativity. Bye now. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.